Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the Golden Goal Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm joined again by my good mate Sam. How you doing, mate?
Very well, Tom. Hope everyone else is doing well.
So similarly to the last one, except we're going to incorporate a bit of the full season game into this one. So we're just going to go through each of our teams in both the full season and half season games, let you know how we're getting on, what our plans are with transfers and stuff going forwards. Shoot the shit about how we're doing basically. So Sam, how are you getting on? How have you had a good week, bad week? What rank are you sitting at in that full season game?
Yeah, so you kind of asked me to send the screenshots over, and in my head, I'd envisioned a really bad week. Um, Stuck the armband on Dennis, played one fixture, took Gallagher out for Mason Mount, expecting two fixtures for Mount. Didn't start the first one. Gallagher obviously scored on the first fixture. So already I was kicking myself before the game week had even started. But my rank is around 1,000, so not too bad. I was expecting probably 1,500 to 2K. So I think I've loosely gotten away with it. However, United are playing right now, so if Ronaldo bags a brace or whatever, then that could probably affect my rank. But on the contrary, if United somehow manage to keep a clean sheet, I've got David De Gea. I might get a little rank rise back into the three digits, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, Mason Mount was a bit of a shitter. I've got him too, which you'll see in a minute. But yeah, him not starting that game against Man City, I was quite surprised at that decision as well. To be honest, I think Mason Mount's one of their best players. I think he's been awesome this season. So I was just really surprised to see him left out. There must have been maybe a niggle or an injury or something to do that. But
Yeah, I saw a bit floating around on Twitter saying tactical. Yeah, Tuchel knows better than us for sure, but Mason Mount works hard out of possession. He's obviously adding goals and assists to his game as well. Chelsea just look toothless a little bit all over the field. I know that Tuchel came out after the Brighton game and just said we're tired. I mean, everyone's tired, so I don't know if that's an excuse or what. They've got to use something, haven't they? But they've looked toothless up front or in terms of in front of goal for many weeks. And Lukaku just was an isolated figure. I don't think. I mean, I'm actually debating getting rid of Mount this week. I've had him for one game, and I'm tempted to chuck him out, as we'll discuss later. But yeah, he just looks an isolated figure. Obviously, the stuff he's come out and said prior to the City game or the game before that is just not great. It kind of, yeah, he doesn't look like he's just involved in the game. He's not holding the ball up and linking play. And it was 1-0, but Man City battered
yeah,
Chelsea. I don't know if you watched it. Um, they've kept one clean sheet in 10 or something along the lines of that. Again, I think I pulled this stat out last time, loosely right. So yeah, it's not really going very well for Chelsea, and I don't fancy them in defence or attack really. I quite like the midfielders because of all the reasons of the points for the midfielders, and Mount, if anyone's going to be a man to get an assist or a goal, but yeah, I'm thinking about ditching Mount completely for next week, and yeah, I don't know what's going on. I know he'll sort it out, and Chelsea will pull it back round, but at the moment they just don't look very good, do they?
no, personally, I think they play better when Lukaku isn't in the starting 11. I've also
Yeah,
just
agreed.
got I know Man United aren't doing very well either. I don't know. I just don't think a number 9 works in the Premier League necessarily anymore. And Lukaku hasn't been performing well anyway. But yeah, you look at the likes of Liverpool in Man City, you'd probably say are the best two teams going forwards. They don't have an out and out number 9, do they? They play like a Firmino or someone in the false 9 for Liverpool, and then Man City just do whatever, don't they? They're just pretty free flow. So
Yeah, to stop that isolated figure, and you look at Liverpool and the fluidity of Mane from the left with Robbo on the outside, and then Salah cuts in so much. There's more up top. You looked at Chelsea versus City, and it was just Lukaku, and then Pulisic was it, and Ziyech I think
yeah,
started. They
yeah,
just weren't in the
Ziyech,
game,
yeah.
were they? That first half
No.
at all. And you're absolutely right. So I don't know. He's a very, very good manager. Sure he'll fix it, but right now I'm really not interested in either or, and I'm lumped with actually. Reece James on the bench injured. Rudiger, who I can handle Rudiger, I think, and then Mason Mount. So the decision moving forward is what to do with Mount or Rudiger. I mean, James is pretty just going to sit on my bench for a while at this current rate, or at least until I potentially wildcard. Yeah, Cancelo he just pulls out the goods, doesn't he? Look, talking about City, just 9.3 score last week, one game. Why not just stick the armband on him?
Well, yeah, I know he outscored any of the Chelsea lot that got a double. Yeah, exactly. And looking at your team, yeah, he would have been the best captain. Well, unless De Gea goes off, he's probably would have been the best captain as well.
Yeah, or Trent at 9.3 again. The two we talked about on the pod last week, the two standout defenders potentially in that premium bracket anyway this season. We put them in as and we said no brainer, leave them all year. You just stick the armband on them if there's no Mo Salah. A bit annoyed with myself really because I looked at the double fixture for Watford and tried not to overthink it. There was mutterings. I saw mutterings on Twitter of a potential postponement. And yeah, I don't really know why I didn't sort of think, let's just go with the fixture. And that last night was the nail in the coffin to not see the game go ahead. But Dennis probably would have had his standard 2 points anyway, so probably wouldn't have finished much higher. But just a bit frustrated because I talked to you last week about maybe going Bowen. I know it's for the half-season game. I did think about Bowen even for the one game for my main side. Didn't do it. I would have had a few more points there, but damage limitation has been hit there. That could have been a bit more of a haul, couldn't it, for West Ham, Bowen in particular, and Antonio, actually, because that chance he missed at the end would have been another Antonio assist.
Yeah, I can't confess to have watched much of West Ham this season. I haven't really, other than Man United games, I can't confess to have watched minutes and minutes of all the games, to be honest. But yeah, watching the game against Leeds, I was wondering why the hell I picked Antonio over Bowen in the Sky game. But yeah, Bowen looked awesome, and he was on the receiving end of pretty much all the stuff that West Ham created. He scored from a corner, didn't he? And he nearly had a goal from across at the end of the game, I think, as well. So yeah, Bowen's the man for them at the moment.
Yeah, he's just informed, mate. I do think Antonio will come back round. I really, really like Antonio, and he's returned numerous times in the past. In this particular team, I'm not in any rush at the moment. I think if a wildcard option comes up in the next few weeks when things are a little bit clearer, I think he might well go on that. But until I go for a wildcard, I genuinely don't think I'll be in any rush to ditch him. He plays most games, doesn't he? If he's not injured.
Yeah, just looking at that team, do you have? Well, I think we've got to wait and see if Villa get a double game week. I think, haven't we? But have you got any immediate thoughts on a transfer or captaincy that you'd like to set for next week?
Yeah, so I've got Salah sitting on the bench now. It comes back to that. Do I get rid of Salah now? Is there any point? I think I'm going to leave him.
Yeah, if you've got, I'd say if you've got enough in the bank to move one of the other midfielders on to a preferred option, I'd just leave Salah. I think not having to take a hit, play a wild card, or make a transfer to bring him in when he comes back will be pretty big for you.
Yeah, but then I'm sort of thinking, well, am I going to go to that wild card? I'm getting more and more issues say more and more issues, but there's things you want to change as the weeks go on. And as I said, I'm not particularly happy with Rudiger, not particularly happy with James. They've got the Club World Cup coming up, so that's two out that need to go. Mason Mount obviously just brought him in, maybe a foolish move, thinking about shipping him straight back out. However, yeah, I'm content with Antonio. I'm obviously happy. Watkins is, he's not a prolific goal scorer, but he's a 90-minute man. He gets assists. He has shots, doesn't he? He's kind of like cheap. You know you're going to get 3, 4, 5 points out of him. So I'm kind of happy with him. Jota's not going anywhere. How Jota didn't return at the weekend. Jota's one of those players that, like, on the reactive, he'll score goals, and then when he gets a minute or two to think about his opportunity, his one-on-one was a prime example. He doesn't score, and then that shot on the half turn, which he had no right really to whistle it out of his foot, hits the bottom of the post and was really unlucky. But I think you've got some stats on him later on, haven't you? So I won't spoil the party, but he's a premium style player at a cheaper price. So Jota is not going anywhere for me, and he'll continue to return. Silva, like his purple patch is over, isn't it? But he plays games. Again, I don't mind just having a midfielder in there that's going to get me 4.356 points every week. He will come up with a goal and an assist, I'm sure, in the next couple of game weeks. But yeah, he's kind of on that Antonio level for me, where I'm content with them and I'll just leave them. I think the big decision for me is waiting to see if there's a potential double game week for Villa. If there is, then it's who to take out to get a Villa midfielder in, which I think I'm going to do. It will either be Mount or Salah. Chelsea have Spurs, don't they? So
Yeah, I was just thinking about it a bit further. I think, to be honest, it's probably best to take Salah out, isn't it? Just because then you'll have more players in your squad that actually play football matches. Because you've got, well, Salah and James on the bench who aren't going to play. So yeah, it might just be safer to get rid of Salah this week if the opportunity arises anyway.
yeah, and if you look at it, that means I'm going to have 3 Chelsea players. I'm going to have to wildcard at some point soon, I think. So Salah out makes sense potentially if the wildcard's around the corner. But I'll have a think about who and what. But if the Villa double comes in, then there's kind of a couple of names on the lips there, which are probably quite obvious to most people. Buendia, I think I said it, didn't I, in the season-long game? He's on the pod last week. I think he's starting to find his feet in that Villa team. Philippe Coutinho, maybe because I'm a Liverpool fan, a little bit of a soft spot for him. I just think Gerrard's going to bring him in. He's going to play him. He's a world-class player on his day. Gerrard will know where to play him. I think he was a little bit, misused at Barca. He likes that inside left track, doesn't he? Likes that inside left, and that's where he scored so many goals for Liverpool when he was in that really, really good season.
The thing for me is Gerrard knows the environment that Coutinho thrives in, so he will do everything he can to bring Coutinho out of his shell as much as possible, I think. So yeah, he's a perfectly good shout.
I knew he was going to, I don't know why I didn't put a bet on that United game. I just thought he's going to come off the bench to score against United. Yeah. And Ramsey as well is another outside shout. I know he's been talked about a little bit on Twitter. He's played a lot of minutes, hasn't he? I haven't got the exact minutes up in front of me, but I'd seen he's played quite a lot of minutes regularly. So Gerrard obviously trusts him. I think the concern with the Villa midfielders, and I mean, if any Villa fans are going to watch this, then chime in. But there's potentially 4 players for the 3 spots, and in a double game week, that potentially worries me maybe a little bit. You've got Danny Ings, Watkins, Buendia, and Coutinho vying for that sort of front 3, unless he has a little sort of change of formation. I don't know. So I think my sort of heart wants me to go towards Coutinho, but I'll be worried that he'd only play potentially 1 and a bit part of the second one or something like that. Buendia, kind of, I like him. So I've got a decision to make on those 3 Villa assets should that come round.
They're all at lovely prices as well. So yeah, Coutinho's the most expensive and he's 6.5. And then you mentioned Ramsey there. For me, I don't think he gets enough attacking output for me to pick him to play him, but he's 4.5 million. So I think he'll be a very popular bench pick when people start to play their wild cards anyway.
Yeah, I think the 2 decisions really are for this move, for this potential week, are between Coutinho and Buendia. The thing is with Coutinho, I feel like he could play 1 game and he could be really, really explosive, and you've got your points back. I think he will score more goals than Buendia. I think if he starts and plays. So, but he's had 1 game for Villa, so that's some interesting questions. And I know some people will be wait and see. I am tempted for a punt. I've got to be honest with you.
Yeah,
what are you thinking is there, Tom?
Yeah, my rank's slightly different to yours. I'm 1,000 places behind you in 2K now, so yeah, I'd be even more convinced to hop on Coutinho right away. And it's not like he's even going to take him much time to adjust, is it? He's played in the league before, he knows the score, so yeah. He's made an immediate impact against Man United, so yeah, you'd like to think
you just get a sense he's happy already, like big smile on his face, playing under Steven Gerrard, who he played with at Liverpool. Just as his feeling. He's creating a good atmosphere, Gerrard. He carries that leadership. You can see it when he walks out as manager onto the field. Obviously, it's a bit of early manager, new bounce going on. I understand that. And there will be trickier times ahead for Stephen, who is a rookie manager. But at the moment, I think he's doing a great job. And yeah. And so Coutinho is potentially a good shout. Again, I am a little bit biased being a Liverpool fan, but I'm really liking what's going on with the recruitment there and the way that Steven Gerrard's going about things. So, yeah, I'm with you on that one, Tom. And I'm a thousandth, mate, and I want to play the game where I don't want to just maintain rank. I want to go for someone that could push me up, and I'm going to play that for the rest of the season. I mean, I've been as high as 200th. I've had a little decrease in the last 3 or 4 game weeks. I haven't had a very, very good Christmas. Usually I do quite well around Christmas. So it's the first year in 3 or 4 that Christmas has sucked a little bit for me. But I think I've had a bit of bad luck with injuries and postponements and COVID and that sort of stuff. So not getting too aggravated by it. I'm happy to be where I am. I think it's quite easy, not easy, but you get an explosive pick and they do well. You start going back up the ranks, confidence starts to rebuild, and you start moving forward again.
Just one more question on Coutinho before I flash up my team, because you're a Liverpool fan, so you probably remember him better than I do. Is he the type to play 90 minutes every game, or is he prone to an early sub? I guess he's changed a bit as well, hasn't he? But based on his time at Liverpool, do you remember?
I can't really remember, but I think he played majority of games when fit. I think he looks from a visual perspective in Nick, doesn't he? My thinking is Stephen going to take a little bit of time to bed him in, and by that I mean 65 minutes next game, or game after that, not start and come on. Is he ready to be thrust into action and 90 minutes back to back if there is a double game week? The question there is, I don't probably think so, but I don't know. That just goes into the risk factor, Tom, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I think, I'd like to think especially if it's a double game week next week, you'll at least get, across the 2 weeks, you'd like to think you'll get at least 90 minutes across the 2 games from Coutinho. So, yeah, I think that alone de-risks it enough to pick him.
And I think if I'm going to bring him in, I'm going to stick the armband on him. We're chatting off air, weren't we, about Watkins? I think you could quite happily say right now that you get sort of a 14 or 15 pointer from Watkins as a captain. Over the 2 games, you probably know he's going to play both. He'll have a few shots or whatever. He'll pick up his 90-minute completion point or whatever it is. You're going to get a little bit of a baseline there, but we don't want that, do we? We want explosive returns, and Coutinho potentially has that. And you just fancy as a free kick or this. I don't know again how all that's going to be affected for takers and stuff now that he's come in, but the kid carries weight, doesn't he? Everyone knows who he is, so they'll all be looking up to him. He's been there and done that, so yeah, the armband could then be thrusting him, mate. We could be eating our words next week, couldn't we, when he does a 30-minute cameo and basically does nothing.
We'll see. I'll flash up my team now. So I think, well,
I've chatted a lot, mate. You're on. I'm going to keep quiet now.
We're pretty similar, to be honest. A couple of subtle differences between our teams. I had a different Chelsea defender that played. I had Alonso. God, he's bloody rubbish, isn't he? To be honest, I think he's one of the big reasons behind Chelsea's decline. To be honest, I just think Chilwell offers so much more to that team than Alonso does. And I remember it. I think the first time Sterling went 1-on-1 with Alonso, he did him, and Alonso got a booking. And I think that was after about 10 minutes. So yeah. The guy can't defend, and Chelsea aren't getting forward well enough for him to start making an impact in the opposition box either. So, yeah, I'm a bit frustrated with Alonso, but I think by the state of the rest of my team, I'm just going to have to stick with him. And yeah, we've gone through Trent and Cancelo in your team, so I don't think there's too much to add on those two. Similar feelings about Bernardo Silva as well. He's not my favourite player in the game, but I've just got other issues to deal with, so I'm happy to leave him in. I think Mason Mount might be the one to go. Well, actually, no, that's not true because I've just looked at my bench. I'll keep Mount this week, but again, very disappointed not to see him start against Man City. But what can you do? And then I've got a big red under Martinelli. Basically, I have 4 players who didn't play this week, so I only ended up with 10. So yeah, Martinelli was just auto subbed in but didn't play. And then I had Bowen. We've spoken about him. Antonio and Dennis covered them. And yeah, I think I got a bit unlucky with Ronaldo. Yeah, he was definitely the most popular captain last week. He had a double game week. The manager said he was fit on Friday, I think, in his press conference. He said he expected Ronaldo to be fit for Villa. And then the squad came out and he wasn't in it. So I was pretty gutted there. In fact, I was actually hoping that he wouldn't play tonight, to be honest, so I could get the points from Bowen, because I'm not being convinced by Man United that he'll do enough to outscore Bowen, to be honest. But yeah, he's there as my captain, so anything he gets tonight against Brentford, I'd appreciate. And yeah, I'm stuck with Heung-min Son. I couldn't get him out without taking a hit last week, so he's just stayed in my team. And Diaz as well, rotting on my bench. Yeah, can't believe he didn't play, but Pep made me eat my words because they kept a clean sheet against Chelsea. So what can you do?
I think Diaz will be back in next game. I see that, and I don't get any worries at all. I think Diaz is first choice centre back all day, every day for Pep.
Yeah, it's just
clearly
one of
a tactical move.
Yeah, I think is it Sam Lee? His name is, the Man City journalist. I think he tried to explain why it might have happened. Just he seems to think that Pep prefers John Stones on the ball to Diaz, so it was more of a ability on the ball decision. So John Stones played and it worked out, didn't it?
I read that tweet, and then John Stones tried to make a 20-yard diagonal and kicked it out of play. He did. He looks nice on the ball though, but he booted it out. He looked for Cancelo at left back. I totally agree with you on Alonso, by the way. I know I said this midweek. He's slow. He's not very good defensively. His main output is his left foot, and his ability to strike a ball is good, but that's about it. Well, it's obviously not about it. He's a professional footballer, but at the highest level,
yeah,
I don't think he offers much more value there. And Chelsea just look, like you said, with no Chilwell in the side. Obviously, Reece James injured as well. They don't look as solid, do they?
Yeah, I'm more and more tempted by a wild card as the weeks go on, really. I'm pretty sure that Salah returns from AFCON. I think I said it in the last pod, actually. Salah returns from AFCON the same game week that Chelsea blanked for their first few fixtures at the Club World Cup. So I think I might wild card, take out my 3 Chelsea, bring in Salah, and just tidy up the rest of my team as well. I think that might be my plan.
What are you thinking for this week then? If I know we've talked about the Villa double game week. I mean, if that doesn't happen, would that affect what you're going to do this week, or you?
Yeah. So
what's your plans?
One big player missing from my team at the moment is Diogo Jota. At the start of the season, I had Trent, Mane, and Salah, and I've carried Mane and Salah throughout until they went to AFCON, and it just meant that I didn't have the room to bring in Jota. So I've gone without him, really, and that's probably why I'm ranked 2000th as I am, really. Just the pain of not owning Jota. He is probably the most popular player in the game at the moment, if not, he's certainly up there anyway, and I just haven't owned him. So if Villa don't double, I think I'll be going Son to Jota, and if they do, I'll do Son to an Aston Villa midfielder. But yeah, just waiting and seeing on those fixtures, really. But yeah, I can't have Son in my team at the moment with him being out till the end of the month. At least.
Yeah, I had Jota right from the off. I think I said to you, didn't I? I just had him from the off, and then there was never a reason to take him out, especially at that price. But I can understand why you kept delaying it, because you're probably thinking Bobby comes back into the team, or that's pretty much it. Bobby comes back and plays. Jota becomes bench man again, but it never happened, did it?
Yeah, and I don't know about you, and I still hold this opinion. I think Liverpool are a better team when they play Bobby and not Jota, but Jota's just been performing, hasn't he, and making an excuse to get in the team. So yeah, he's just continually playing.
Mate.
Yeah,
as a Liverpool fan, he's improved his game at 9 or false 9, whatever you want to call it. However, he played on the left, didn't he, against Brentford? Is it Brentford that just played? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? 3-0. Yeah, which is his... Traditionally, that's his side. That's when he moved to Liverpool, he would play on the left. It's Klopp that's moved him on the inside to accommodate Sadio Mane on the left and Mo Salah on the right. And then that's why those minutes have been interchanged. He did actually play all 4 against Manchester City last season. I can't remember what the score was, but we looked obviously good going forward, but a little bit open. But as a result of playing all four, I don't think he's done it since. But at the moment, Jota is the number one false nine by the look of it.
Yeah, that's my decision this week. Really, it's probably a bit tougher than yours, to be honest, because I think it's if Villa get a double game week, it's a bit of a no-brainer. I think to bring one of them in, but for me, is a Villa double game week better than Jota? I don't know. That's the tough decision that I'm gonna have to make. I think. I don't know. I can't
It's
decide.
Palace,
No.
isn't it? It's Palace, Liverpool, and Palace looked more solid. I still think Liverpool will score. Stat isn't there? Liverpool of like how amount of time that they haven't scored. I think at home or even in a Premier League game, it was insane until the Arsenal game. I think in the cup. I can't remember the exact stat anyway, but it was a long, long time. Liverpool tend to score in most games. I think is the crux of the stat basically. And with Mane and Salah still out, you're still hedging your bets on Jota getting a goal or involved in the goals, especially with the stats that he's backing up. And we know the game's not paid on bloody paper, but he should have scored a couple of goals against Brentford.
I think that's all there is to say really on my full season team. We all right to go on have a look at how you're doing in that half season game, mate?
Yeah, what will you do captaincy wise if you don't go? Would you say you go Jota? Do you think if you didn't go Villa?
Wow, I think we're gonna discuss that at the end of the video because I'm torn on who to bring in and I'm torn on who to captain because the attacking stats comparing Jota and Trent, they're bloody hard to pick between. I've got no idea. It's certainly going to be either a Liverpool or a Villa player if they get a double game week, but I haven't decided who yet. I think
Decisions, mate.
Yeah, I think if Jota and Trent are in my team, it's a bit of a flip of a coin. But I've got some stats later on to show that as well.
Cool. That'll be good. It'll be interesting for me. I might have to jump on. I'll listen to that and discuss that and see. That could hedge my bets one way as well.
Right, I've got your half-season team on my screen right now, mate.
So current rank 5k. I currently have 3 players playing right now. De Gea, Moura, Ronaldo. I switched Ronaldo for Kane at the last minute because the London derby was cancelled. Sticks the armband on Ronaldo to find out that Ronaldo, like you said in your season game, long full season game, that Ronaldo's not. It's enough to really sort of dishearten you if you're that way inclined. I try not to let it affect me that much because
you're absolutely right.
It's a great release, isn't it? Fantasy football from life. So don't try and let the two get connected and certainly. Well, I'm not like in the money in late stages. I'm like, it's fun. And that's exactly what it is. So bit disheartened from it, but I have since recovered from that one. I know that Kane has scored a goal so far this evening. So when I saw that, I was like, that could have been Harry Kane. Had these fixtures, etc., not been changed, it would have been Harry Kane or the uncertainty around the fixtures. Obviously, Lucas Moura, I don't know if he's done anything at all. De Gea and Ronaldo right now as well. So I'm actually not too frustrated with this. It's very, very similar actually to my season team, isn't it? Full season team. The big difference at the back is Laporte's in there. When we talked about that last week, Man City are just super solid, aren't they? The only thing moving forward with Manchester City is, does Diaz and Stones start next game? Is Laporte dropped? You never know with Pep, but super happy with that double there.
Yeah, and don't forget, ultimately, with Laporte in that half-season game, it doesn't matter who plays for Man City. You'll always get yourself a defender there with his price. The only worry you've got, I guess, is if Stones continues to play games, his price rises, then that might screw you over a little bit. But that's
sorry, mate. I completely forgot about that little nuance in the rules. But I think Laporte will probably still continue to play games. He's just been really, really good for quite a few weeks and a very, very good goal threat. I mean, he had the goal disallowed against Brentford, didn't he? The header, and it was like fag papers distance, It's like kind of one of those, but it's good to see. Always good as an owner, isn't it? That you're seeing these defenders that mop up like clean sheets that are also attacking threats. It just means a haul is round the corner all the time, and 2 City defenders is a no-brainer. In fact, I would say you could probably go for 3 if you didn't have one of their midfielders as well.
Yeah, I was really tempted. To be honest, I was almost tempted to do that. But yeah, the thing is with picking 3 is that there's well, then even then you'll always guarantee yourself getting 3. So it was just whether a City defender was better than a midfielder at a similar price. I didn't do it in the end, but yeah, certainly an option to go for 3. Maybe if you get sick and tired of Lucas Moura, that might be what you end up doing. I don't know.
Yeah, Lucas Moura was the punt for the double game week. So obviously took Kane out because I thought, well, I'm going to stick the armband on him. I'll go for potential safer bet Ronaldo, still knowing that Ronaldo potentially had an injury. So completely my fault, a little bit of a risk there. But I thought Moura's a nice little pick there. He's on form. He's playing games. He's cheap. So I just banged him in, and he's if he does well this week, great. If he doesn't, if he's missed that fixture, he could be the man to make way for potential replacement. King, again, only had the one fixture. Antonio could have had the couple of assists we've already talked about. So, yeah, lots of similarities with my team there. I think the potential move would be Moura to someone. Could be a Villa asset again, as per the season-long game. If not, I really do fancy another Man City asset in there defensively at some point as well. So that's where my thinking's going.
Yeah, nice one. I don't really have anything to add, to be honest. Like you said, that's pretty similar to your season game, and yeah, to be honest, that's the only transfers I'd suggest as well. Yeah, I think I don't like Lucas Moura personally, but difference in opinion. That's what it's all about. You picked him on the basis he got a double game week, and I think you just got unlucky there. Really, I think he could have gone off if he had the 2 fixtures, to be honest. But it's just one of those, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not worried about it in the slightest. I'll just move him on. Simple as that. Simple as that, Tom. Captaincy wise, again, I think it's going to boil down to the Villa game. So for this up and coming game week, whether another Villa game comes in, and then obviously if not, we can discuss the Trent and Jota stats in a bit.
Yeah, I'll quickly flash up my team then. Again, I think we're. Sorry, go ahead, mate.
I'd say I'm quite happy with that start. Like, it's not the end of the world. I'll probably be higher tonight after those 3 are playing. I don't know however many other people have got 3 players tonight. I'm sure a few probably will have Ronaldo, that's for sure. But perfectly happy with that. Plenty to build on.
What did you say your rank was again?
5k.
Oh, that's perfectly decent to start with, isn't it? I think, does the money begin at 4k? You get fiver for 4,000. So yeah, you're close enough to the money that I'd be very happy with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. And I expected worse. So when I opened opened the app to see it, I thought I can handle that for sure. Just getting your side up for my reference.
Yeah, I think in the video that we made last week, I had a slightly different team, but yeah, there was still a few days to go until the deadline, so I had a bit of time to tinker, and that's exactly what I did. So yeah, we've got exactly the same backline, but to be honest, I think that's in my opinion, that's the best backline in the game at the moment. You had De Gea on a double game week. I think he made 8 saves against Villa. So I know he didn't get a clean sheet, but he still scored 4.5 points from a game that Man United conceded 2 goals in. So yeah, happy with that. Trent, Laporte and Cancelo, we already went through that. Each of them kept a clean sheet and some attacking returns there. Midfield was Jota, Mount, Bowen and Rafinha. I thought I'm surprised Rafinha is so low owned, to be honest, but yeah, he's 7.5 million, which I think is a little bit more expensive than FPL price, but I still think he's worth that money and got me a nice assist. In this week, actually, he's a bit of a rogue captain pick because his fixture is Newcastle. And there's also potential for double if they potentially play Aston Villa. So I think if Villa play Leeds as their second fixture, it means Leeds have Newcastle and Villa in the same week, so I might well captain Rafinha if that happens.
I wouldn't argue with that, mate. I've got no stats on him over the weeks. He's just Leeds' his best player by an absolute country mile, and he's turning in some consistency. And Leeds haven't been brilliant recently, but I know he's had a couple of penalties and whatnot. He was superb again at the weekend. He had a couple of big chances, didn't he, at the post? I want him. I really do. Whether he comes in for me again, yeah, you did it. That's a good move, mate. That for Rafinha, he's just ticking along lovely. Really, really good decision. And Leeds look better the last couple of games. So you must be quite happy with that moving forward.
Yeah, I am. I think. Well, I'll just check, but I'm pretty sure they've scored more than one goal in their last couple of games. So yeah, and Rafinha. Oh, I think some of his passing against I can't remember who they played at the weekend, but some of his passing was ridiculous that I saw in the highlights as well. Yeah, the guy's just. I think he's almost world class, to be honest. Yeah, I'd go that far.
I think a move is coming up in the summer, potentially, and then his price is going to be up there with premium if he stays in the Premier League, premium level players. I think he'll go in it around your kind of sort of some of the Man City midfield assets. I don't think it'd be a Salah or whatever, but it'll be certainly a couple of £1 million more expensive, I'd think.
Yeah, I think I can't remember exactly where your front three was, but I had King, Watkins, and Ronaldo. I'm pretty sure that's actually exactly what you might have had. But
I had Antonio instead of Watkins in the second chance game.
And yeah, I went with Watkins purely because I thought they might have a double game week this week. And yeah, he didn't score too dissimilarly to Antonio. I know Antonio got his assist, but yeah, I think there's like 1.3 points between them. So yeah, perfectly happy with those returns from Watkins. And if he gets a double game week this week, I'll take that. And yeah, similar story to you with Ronaldo. I had originally I think Kane and Ronaldo in my team. But yeah, I backed out of Kane similarly to you because there was just a bit of a risk of only being a single. And yeah, with all that money being spent on Kane, I thought I'd redistribute it. Stuck the armband on Ronaldo because the manager said he was fit and he didn't play. So yeah, I think it's half time and I just saw the score was 0-0. So yeah, really hoping Ronaldo can do something in the last 45 minutes in that game.
I'm actually sort of hedging against him, believe it or not. I've got him captain in same as you in the second half one, but I want to look after my rank in my in the season long game, and I know if he doesn't go off, he's probably highly captained. It will save me a rank drop. So I'm being very selfish there for that one.
Yeah, and as for transfers in this team, to be honest, I haven't until we know if Villa have got a double game week. I don't really know what I'm going to do. I'd be happy to get rid of either Mount or Ronaldo. I think I'd actually be willing to definitely be willing to get rid of Ronaldo as well. Who to? I just don't know yet because we don't know what the double game week situation is like. So, but yeah, I think either
I'm with
Mount
you on
or
Ronaldo,
Ronaldo
mate.
will be going for sure.
I mean, yeah, anyone who brought Bruno in, by the way, well done for that 2 goals. The first one was hideous, absolute brute. Not that I'm bitter, but it was if there's ever a person that I would have put that goal next, if someone said, "Watch this goal, who scored it?" I would have picked Bruno Fernandes for sure. Martinez is a great goalkeeper, and he just kind of, has a little moment for when Bruno happens to shoot. Second goal was a good one, but I just don't fancy Manchester United in an attacking sense. De Gea, the reasons that I went for him, exactly what you just pointed out a minute ago. 8 saves in a game that they've conceded twice in. He's their best player at the moment. I would be happy to ditch Ronaldo, and I've only got him in that second one. I've not got him in anything else. Just don't fancy them. But he is a player that is still world class and can score goals whenever.
Yeah, all right then. I think that covers it for both of our teams then. I did take a picture of the fixtures in. I don't know. Do you fancy going through the fixtures and talking about how we expect each game to go?
Yeah, mate. I'll just pull them up now and.
Just thinking we're on 40 minutes at the moment, so yeah, I think with the fixtures and Twitter's questions, that'll probably take us to about an hour, which will end us nicely, I think.
So yeah, we've got.
Yeah, you go for it, mate.
Tom. Yeah,
we're looking at the same picture. Off, mate. Okay. So yeah, first fixture we got Watford Norwich. Obviously Watford, seem to be decent going forward, but pretty leaky defensively. A lot of us sitting on a King or a Dennis. So yeah, and they've got Norwich, which is probably one of the best fixtures you could possibly ask for. So yeah, I'd fancy either King or Dennis to score in that one.
Yeah, I fancy goals from both teams, to be honest with you there, Tom.
Yeah, I think that's all there is to say, really. I don't think many people, well, certainly we don't own anyone else from Watford or Norwich, do we?
No.
The next one, Everton Villa. Well, we'll see how Everton change. I think they got Big Dunk at the moment, haven't they, as manager? But yeah, Everton have just looked rubbish. So another reason really why you'd want to bring in a Villa player, right? Even if they don't have a double game week, Coutinho against Everton, Steven Gerrard against Everton, former Liverpool player Coutinho against Everton. Everton are just rubbish. You'd fancy Coutinho just in the single fixture, to be honest.
Yeah, totally agree. You've summed it up. Everton are crap at the back, crap going forward. What's not to love?
I don't know. I don't claim to be particularly close or watch loads of Everton games, but I just can't believe that the likes of Michael Keane and Seamus Coleman are still playing Premier League football. To be honest, I think they should be nowhere near that team. But anyway, the next fixture could potentially be obviously a double game week for Aston Villa, and one of those double game week games could be Leeds as well. But the game that Leeds do have locked in is against Newcastle. I don't think, obviously Newcastle's trying to improve, signing a couple of players, but I don't think they've particularly improved overall yet. Obviously Kieran Trippier's, I think it's a great signing for them, but I don't think a right back is going to particularly change the entire way that Newcastle play. So yeah, I've got Rafinha for that one, and I'm quietly confident about how he's going to do in that game.
I fancy both teams to score again in that one for sure. Which way it'll end up, I don't know. I could see a draw there, but both teams scoring for sure.
I don't think we've got many. I don't have a Wolves or Brentford player anymore, but yeah, Brentford or Wolves the next fixture. Again, looking pretty. I'd fancy Wolves to get a clean sheet in that game. To be honest, It's the kind of game they'd sit back in, and Brentford wouldn't really know what to do against them. So yeah,
you can almost guarantee that'll be 0-0 at half time, can't you? That one
might be worth a bet. To be
Wolves
fair,
is looking super solid at the back. I mean, they've got to come up in conversation at some point. I agree there. I could see a very, very low scoring game potentially with Wolves winning that one, like 1-0 or something. That would be classic Wolves at the moment.
Yeah. Then we got Man United, West Ham, and yeah, to be honest, I do not know how that game will go. I could see both teams scoring. I don't think, obviously David Moyes is a pretty solid manager, but West Ham are leaking a few goals. Obviously conceded a few against Leeds, so I would be surprised if they kept Man United quiet. And obviously Man United are terrible defensively, so I'd see goals from a Bowen or an Antonio in that one. But exactly how the game finishes, I don't know. But yeah, I think all the assets we own have got a good chance in this game.
Yeah, I do. I think there could be some goals in that for sure, and an entertaining game for the neutral, definitely.
We've got Southampton, Man City. I know Southampton at the beginning of the season seemed to play pretty well against the big opposition. I think they kept Man City quiet, didn't they? They kept them to a 0-0. But for me, it just seems like a nailed-on Man City clean sheet, this one, to be honest. I can't see that.
2, maybe 3-0. If Southampton are lucky, they might nick a goal there, but it's a comfortable City win, isn't it? I think they're in such good form at the moment. 2-3-0, something like that.
I think the only thing to watch out for is James Ward-Prowse in that game. Obviously, you can score a free kick against anyone, and his free kicks at the moment are just ludicrous. I mean, the one he scored at the weekend was unbelievable. It's one of the best goals I've seen for a while. So, yeah, that's the only threat in that game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good pick at the moment. He's on a bit of a good patch of goals and assists and things, and he's proven his worth as an FPL or Fanteam or whatever, a fantasy football asset. There you go, got my words out. He just, every season, especially Fanteam where he plays 90 minutes and stuff, he's a really, really good pick. And I do sort of wonder why I just haven't had someone like that stuck in there all season. Josh, who obviously won it last year, talked about that, didn't he? Just saying having your 90-minute men, and Ward-Prowse is fantastic for 90 minutes and barely missing any time injured, and he has a lovely little patch of a run where he'll score and assist, and yeah, I really, really like him. Don't think he'll do much, as I said, against City this week potentially, but as an actual pick, he's very, very good.
Then we got Arsenal in Burnley. I think in my season-long game, I still own Martinelli, so he might well start in my team against Burnley in that one. I think the only other real thing to talk about in that game is just how many fixtures Burnley are going to have. Do you fancy yourself buying a Burnley player in the near future?
this is a topic that comes up every year, and everything says no, 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 don't do it. An Edison or whoever you've got in goal or defense is going to outscore. Proof last week with Cancelo, Trent versus some of the double gamers. You go and buy Nick Pope, and you end up still worse off in the deal and banging your head against the brick wall. Why the hell did I do that? Maybe the lad in midfield or up front,
Cornet. I was
Cornet.
just about to say him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but is he physically robust enough to be playing all those games back to back? Potentially, I don't know. Nick Pope would stand out to me, especially if he's in a good bit of form and making some saves. But Burnley look leaky at the moment.
Yeah, I really worry for them, to be honest. They obviously lost
Yeah,
Chris Wood to Newcastle. Yeah, I worry for them unless they can sign a decent striker. With the few days we've got, well, a couple of weeks we've got left of January, I think they're really going to struggle. So, yeah, I can see Arsenal winning that 2 or 3-0, to be honest.
yeah, and I leave my on that question. I leave my option. I leave the answer open at the moment. I think if there's one slot that could be replaced in my side, that I'd be happy. It would be a goalkeeper. So this might come up in topic in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I can see Arsenal winning that one quite comfortably at home as well. I think you're right. Sort of 2 or 3-0, something like that could happen.
A few more games left. We got Leicester and Brighton. Must say, I'm really impressed with Brighton against Chelsea. I feel like if Brighton
Yeah.
had well, I think I said this last season actually. I think if Brighton had a decent centre forward, the likes of Callum Wilson or Tammy Abraham or someone, they'd be really genuinely competing for those European spots. They just look really good. And to be honest, I think them and Leicester's a pretty even game, to be honest.
Brighton don't concede many goals. You look, they're very, very. It's like one goal, isn't it? Quite often, I don't see that being a high scorer. I could see that being. I could see actually that being a 1-1. You're absolutely right with Brighton, mate. They're one very good striker away from really, really competing for those European slots. Graham Potter's done a wonderful job, and hence why he gets linked with every single job that comes up. Graham Potter, we'll link you with Graham Potter. He's English. It's great. Long may he continue to do a good job.
Then we got, well, we spoke about this bit before, but then we got Crystal Palace and Liverpool. Yeah, obviously you got Conor Gallagher for Crystal Palace, who just pops up with a goal in the games where you least expect him. So he's obviously always a threat. But to be honest, I think with the way that Crystal Palace play and the intensity that Liverpool tend to play at, I just think Liverpool will be too much for them. Whether they'll keep a clean sheet, I'm 50-50 on that. But yeah, I think that's a clear Liverpool win for me.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern is a little bit more of an issue up top without two world class players. Any team's going to miss that. Oxlade-Chamberlain's ruled out, I think, as well. Every time he just starts to find a little bit of rhythm, something crops up. So I think Liverpool will probably have enough to win that. Will Palace score potentially? Will it be quite tight? I think so. Um, let's hope Jota gets in the goals. But yeah, Liverpool definitely missing. Well, are going to miss Mane and Salah, and yeah, it's going to be a fairly tight, I think. Anyway, but we'll see.
And I know you've got the fixtures somewhere there, a bit more detail than me. I think Liverpool play in the cup before this game, don't they? Between now and that game.
Thursday, tomorrow.
Thursday. Okay, so at least when's that? Hang on. So what's that? 3-day turnaround for the game. Yeah, they'll be fine for that. I'm sure. I won't make too much.
Yeah, they'll be up. Yeah, mate, absolutely.
Well, I think this last game is going to be really a good watch. To be honest, Chelsea and Spurs. I think Chelsea overall are probably a bit better, but they're both really not very good defensively at the moment. Big rivals. I think just as a spectacle, this will be quite an exciting game. Exactly how I see it going, I'm not entirely sure really. I mean, you obviously got Conte returning to Stamford Bridge as well. I just think it's just got an interesting game written all over it, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it probably does, mate. And but then you sort of, sometimes these just don't deliver, do they? You sort of yeah. That maybe is what makes it an interesting game. It could literally go both ways, and that's probably a bit of a cliche, but I think it probably could. And like you said, with all the little bits and bobs kind of surrounding that, with Conte going back to back to Chelsea, and Chelsea not looking fantastic recently, Spurs definitely inconsistent. Yeah, could be a good one for the neutral again, mate.
Yeah, the only thing just popped into my head then, I noticed you had Lucas Moura in that second chance game. Without Son, I don't know if he's starting on the right. He might well be. But yeah, what you got to consider is it could be Lucas Moura v Marcos Alonso in that game. So
Yeah, Moura has started on the right. Actually, I've just pulled the lineup up from the Leicester game, which James Maddison has scored in. So Leicester are winning 2-1.
bloody
So the
Madison.
Madison purple patch continues. I obviously had him in the draft, didn't I, for the second chance game? Took him out because of the cancellation. Again, another maybe poor move. Then going with Moura, who only ended up with one game as well. So when you're going on fine margins and a little bit of luck and stuff, that's the little things there. Because if that first game wasn't cancelled, then James Maddison would have been in there for me ahead of Lucas Moura, and Harry Kane would have probably been my striker. But yeah, there we go. There's little bits that make fantasy football really interesting.
All right then, I think that covers the fixtures. I'll just move on to the couple of Twitter questions we got. I'll answer Shahed's first because I've got something interesting to show around Luke's question. So Shahed, our good mate Shahed asks, what's the best way to plan currently? Would you go game by game or in advance? With COVID postponements, etc., surely you're going to think differently. And he's also asked, is Coutinho worth bringing in? So on the Coutinho question, hopefully we've answered that for you, just talking about our teams really. One thing I would say about planning, and I don't know whether this is me being overly optimistic, but I'd like to think that the whole COVID situation is sort of dying down at the moment. Certainly in terms of games being postponed anyway. And I think the Prem are changing their rules, aren't they? To stop teams. Well, I think it's been ridiculous how easy it is for a team to get a game postponed. So I think the postponements are probably going to stop. But the one thing that I don't think will stop are the just random double game weeks coming in. The only thing I would say is, similar to a point you made earlier, Sam, is, should we really care about some of these double game weeks, or just pick the Man City players that just play one game a week and absolutely smash it? I mean, that's entirely up to how you want to play the game. But in terms of planning, for me at the moment, I'm not really changing my tact. Thinking 2 or 3 weeks in advance max, and just taking it week by week really.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. I don't think the Premier League change of rules changes too much for me in the way that I approach the game, similar to you. I still think you run the risk of any player being struck down with COVID at any point. Cases in the country are still fairly high. We know how transmissible it is. Not getting into a debate on COVID, but it is what it is. So there's that. And then, as you said, there's double game weeks and things getting chucked in here, there, and everywhere. I think that's very, very fixture based. I don't think last week was the best one for it. I don't think the fixtures married up with the double game week. I think other weeks we're going to get some plum double game weeks potentially, and that's maybe where you'll start to look, especially if the Premier League change the rules. So I think to that question, there's a little bit more lenience now that we're probably potentially getting some clarity. We should have had this bloody clarity 5 or 6 weeks ago. The Premier League left it slightly open, and teams have absolutely jumped in and ruined that. And now the Premier League are having to put the foot down and go, hang on a minute, we're not cancelling for injuries. Initially, it was for COVID, then this whole injuries thing came in. I don't know if you saw the stats. It was like such a low amount of COVID cases in the latest round of testing, yet we've had so many cancellations.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening, mate. But yeah, I'm just glad to see they're doing something about it. The only unfortunate thing is, right, a team somewhere is going to feel a bit victimised by it, but they have to change the rules at some point. So yeah, hopefully that.
But I think that allows you to then just kind of have a little bit more confidence. I don't say that with actual confidence that games are going to go ahead, and models and bases around certain players and fixtures can probably be planned a little bit. But I'm with you, Tom, on that sort of 2-3 week in advance, and being able to react last minute if something does kind of crop in.
You really just have to keep track of where the deadlines are and be about your phone with very few distractions around the deadlines, don't you? That's how you've got to play it at the moment to get the absolute maximum out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and then the final question was from our good mate Luke. So he's asking, who is the best captain this game week? He's given us 3 names. He said Jota, Trent, Rafinha. He thinks they'll be popular choices, and yeah, I completely agree. And I think we've added a potential Villa player on the end of that as well if they have a double. But what I've done is I've put So it doesn't really help you make a decision, I don't think. But what it does show is just quite how close Jota and Trent are, just in terms of attacking stats as well. So yeah, I'll just reel through some of what's on my screen at the moment.
I'm going to get them up myself so I can see them.
So yeah, in terms of direct goal involvement per 90, I mean, there's very little between the two of them. The real difference, obviously, and well, I think we all know this, is Jota tends to get more amongst the goals, and Trent is a bit more of a creator. He makes more assists, but it brings their direct goal involvement per 90 quite similar. And yeah, another thing to add is Trent is creating 3 chances per game at the moment. I think that's the highest in the league. And he's a right back, so
I think it's mad, mate. I really do. I think he's a generational. Wow, just stop you there, Tom. Spurs have scored 2 goals in 95th and 97th minute. It's now 3-2. Absolutely crazy.
I bet they're all going mad. Who scored them? Is it Bergwijn scored 2? Blimey.
Bergwijn, yeah, 2 goals. Assist Matt Doherty. So interesting.
I
completely forgot my point, mate. I saw a couple of flashes up from the notifications of Sky, and that sort of caught my attention whilst looking at the stats. Fair play there. What a game, 3-2.
Yeah, Man United 2-0 up by the looks of it as well. Greenwood and Elanga. Has Ronaldo done anything? No, of course he hasn't.
No.
Bruno assisting, Fred assist. Yeah, it was just
Harry Kane's had a goal and an assist tonight. He got another assist there. So
what can you do?
Again, for another week. Anyway, on Liverpool, wasn't it? Yeah, just Trent's attacking ability and the fact that you've pulled up stats with Jota, who's a centre forward, a striker forward, whatever you want to call him, and they don't look too dissimilar. Is nuts.
Yeah, to me though, I think obviously you get more points for a goal than an assist in fantasy. So I do think if you're deciding between Jota and Trent, it really is almost a flip of a coin decision. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring those stats up just to show quite how comparative those two players are. Really, I think
you've got. Yeah, go ahead, Tom. Yeah, you go.
I think personally, I'd just edge for Trent because I think Liverpool likely keep a clean sheet in that game. So I've gone for Trent on that basis.
That was going to be my point. I think the decision there lies in: do you think Liverpool are going to get a clean sheet and therefore you're going to get those extra points? If the answer is yes, then yeah, stick it on Trent. I think Rafinha, as we talked about, is a great shout, by the way. So you've got some tough decisions there, but nice ones to make.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't make a decision at the moment because we don't know the fixtures. So yeah, well, like everyone, I'm just going to have to wait until closer to the deadline. But yeah, hopefully that helps people out a little bit. I think that ends us nicely, to be honest, mate. That's done an hour. I think we covered all our teams and bit of stats and chewed the fat on the fixtures. I think that covers us nicely. Is there anything else you could think of that you wanted to add at the end?
No, I think the listeners will probably now be asleep, so I'm happy to end it for now and look forward to the next one, mate. Yeah,
good stuff. Thanks for your time, Sam, and thanks everyone for watching. Please give us a like and a subscribe if you like what you watched, and we'll catch you next week. Bye bye.
Cheers, guys.